This morning we are heading to Algonquin Highlands. Last time we were there it was minus 30 or something ridiculous. Today it's going to be the other extreme, about plus 40 probably. But we're going to nail down the location of the cottage with Kim and Francois. We have to deal with a lot of rock and slope on the property, so we're going to figure out what works well for them, but also what works best in terms of cost, right? And find that middle ground. And we're also going to nail down exterior finishes and window colors. So it's going to be a good day.
The other thing that we had to put into the formula is because maybe you want to point out the actual property line here?
Oh yeah.
Right over between.
Right, Jean's standing right on it.
Yeah. There's a sticker on the
I am.
stairs.
Right here. Yeah.
And that birch tree right there, so a line right like this.
Right through your truck.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
On the other side of my truck, there's some stakes in the ground.
So when I got here, Francois and I did a little expedition. We went up and did some final measuring. Francois took hammer to a stake to see where the granite shield was underneath the ground. So we looked around and we got some ideas about where we can put the house. And so rather than having the garage door on this side here,
Right, like this.
we'll change it coming in here.
Yeah.
So that this is the place where, you know, that the house is currently. So the driveway can come up like this and they can come in there.
Jane had mentioned that we changed the design to maybe relocate the garage doors and stuff like that. But if you look back to the original plans that we had, it was actually Jane's, I think, first design was to have the doors to the garage coming in from the north. So I guess it was probably a good idea right from the get-go. But hopefully with the next few steps with the demolition, the excavation, and a bit of exploration to see where that shield or that the rock actually is, we'll be able to make a more informed decision, I guess, on where the actual cottage should go. So that goes for quite a way.
How long is that?
So we might be able to bring this up here nicely and then be
30
able to
inches.
use the flattened part here.
He's got a Chevy truck we won't talk about.
It's the red one.
Nice. Already told me.
Do you do a lot of work in this area?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, we're not far away, so
Yeah.
rocks all over the place.
Do you have some sort of divining rod that you can figure out?
Figure out where the rock is? Yeah, it's an excavator.
Okay.
I
A
need one
rather
of those.
large divining rod.
I need one of those.
Yeah.
The front of the porch would kind of be over here and doing that. But that was before Jane got there.
We're working with the rock and we're working with the foundation that's already there, the cottage is already there, so we're kind of trying to find a happy medium between the two. And we went back and forth on a few different options, and we even moved the garage from one side to the other because we were working with moving the cottage away from the rock and allowing access into the garage. But ultimately what was decided was to go back to the original design, keep the garage on the side, and push the home up the hill, or the cottage up the hill just a little bit by using some of the existing footprint that's there. Now, one of the things that's still up in the air is, can we actually do the foundation as per the drawing without blasting?
So the initial permits would be for demo and the build. We say here's where we think the building's going to go. This is where we want to put it. Then we're going to demo. We get the permits. We tear this down. We do a bit of exploration. If it fits there, perfect. We're done. If not, then we say we need to do this with it or do
Yeah,
this
we've
or
had
do
to
that.
put it this many
Yeah.
feet here or that.
Or
because
adjust
of-
the orientation or
rock.
whatever.
And what you're saying is let them know ahead when we're submitting for the permit. Say that depending on what we find, we may need to come back with adjustments.
Yeah, and
Okay.
that'll be fine. At least then you'll still already be approved in that location.
Yeah.
So if nothing else works, at least you know you can go back to that location and just
Okay.
do whatever work you need to do to make it happen in that location.
So once we have demo and building permit, then you can start tearing this down.
Okay,
Awesome.
thanks.
Really
Nice to meet you.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you. Thanks, Glenn.
No problem.
Yeah, that's it.
Good.
Good.
Don't have anything to walk
You're right, we don't. We do have a hose.
There's the there's the So one thing that Kim really likes to do is prepare food, especially for other people. So that was very good.
Had a superb lunch. Kim did some spring rolls, which really are to die for.
Shrimp in there. There's avocado. There's some veggies, and they're gluten free and very healthy. She had some baba ganoush and did some kind of black olive hummus that was good to go with our gluten-free Doritos and crackers.
Right now we are heading to Castle Building Supply, I believe is what it's called, but we're going to be looking at some siding samples so we can finish up the colors on the exterior and get the windows ordered, because we don't want to be waiting for windows when we need them. I made it for myself.
Oh, of course you did. That was fun. I also like the frontier here for maybe the gable.
Mm-hmm.
And then maybe one of these three to frame.
Well,
Windows.
I would try to stick with two colors rather than three. And remember that you do have the color of the windows to take into account.
Oh, right. So the framing would maybe be the same then. Seems
The
like
frame's
right
going to
there,
be
yeah.
the dark framing? Yeah,
Yeah.
okay, that helps a lot. So then, yeah, you boil it down to two, so
Yeah.
that's good.
You pay by the 100 square foot sheet. And then when they press it into whatever shape you want, this shape gives you more coverage, say, than this shape or this shape.
Yeah, where they're going
There's
in
more,
now, yeah.
yeah. So he
The
said if
one
you're
thing
tr-
that's a little different with that is
Mhm.
depending on how tall the walls are, and unfortunately your walls aren't that tall, but you almost have to get a thicker gauge if you don't have something like the corrugated up here that actually has a fair amount of structural integrity
Integrity?
in itself. So
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what you have on your house.
yeah,
Yeah. Okay. Yep.
Yeah. That's the less expensive. Then you get into these, they're hidden fasteners, so they
Right.
cost more.
Okay.
But you don't see, so you fasten it, and then the next piece overlaps it and covers up the fastener, right? So this
Oh,
would
so-
lap into there,
Right.
and it covers over top of that. So
Yeah.
if you don't want to see the fastener, it's a more expensive roof, but
Right.
that's the look you end up
Yeah.
with.
Okay. That's good to know.
Right now we're exploring steel versus wood siding. Wood, is a great product in terms of sustainability. It's coming from the environment. As long as we are not burning wood, it's basically sequestering carbon if it's done with good forestry practices. So wood's a good option, and there's some really good wood products out there with good warranties. Now the issue is that it is a little bit more on the expensive side in terms of an exterior cladding without going to masonry type products. So another option is steel. So steel is nice because the warranty is good, the durability is good, it goes up fairly quickly if we're doing, because we can get big pieces of steel. A downside is once it's dented, it's dented. You're not going to be able to necessarily fix it easily unless you take that whole piece of steel off, which doesn't come easily. So there's some pros and cons, but steel being on the lower end of the price spectrum in comparison to wood, we will be comparing those pros and cons, and ultimately we'll see where Kim and Francois end up.
we took a wonderful swim in the lake, which is very, very peaceful, and I can see how Kim and Francois are just going to love that forever.
It's very private. There are only a handful of cottages on the lake, and early spring you can see the fish swim by, which is really nice. They're doing their spawning, I guess, and now we don't see them as much, but you're starting to see the minnows. I know that when we went for a swim earlier, the three of us, Brian, had noticed the minnows off the dock, so that was kind of cool. It's basically our huge aquarium. It's very peaceful. Dusk, dawn, you'll hear the loons, which is very not something you hear often in a city. So it's very very calming, very therapeutic.
I'm sad to say that I missed a swim, but I will be back.
Well, Brian wants me to say that Kim's in a meeting, but we've actually just locked her up because someone has to clean up the kitchen and do the dishes. But Kim is part of a volunteer group, and she currently has a meeting that she couldn't miss. So we'll get her next time around. But she was here today, and I'm sure we'll see her again soon.
Thanks for watching another episode. If you haven't already, please subscribe. We are doing a whole series just on this 3-day cottage. And also, exciting news, we are hiring right now. So we're looking for a site supervisor / lead carpenter. If you are looking for work in the Ottawa area and you want to join a fun team, head to theConsciousBuilder.com and go to our Contact Us in the career section of our website to apply there.
Not bad, almost there.